Mayor Bill de Blasio, he's dealing with state and federal investigations into possible campaign fundraising violations. Also, separate pay-for-play allegations. All that, it's happening as his re-election campaign starts to gear up for this November's election. Well, our own Dominic Carter, he recently spoke with top political consultant Hank Sheinkopf about what's going on inside City Hall.
Hank Sheinkopf, thank you for joining us tonight.
It's always a pleasure to see you, Dominic, and I wish I saw more of you.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, under investigation by federal prosecutor Preet Bharara and Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance. What is at stake for de Blasio?
Well, it depends how you view it. I mean, he's gone to see both prosecutors, both the state and the federal prosecutor. Some of us are wondering what he's doing, but if there's a lot of indictments of people around him, and of matters related to him, people engaged, it is likely that his polling numbers and his approval ratings will drop significantly, probably into the low 30s, high 20s. And then you may very well see a rush for a whole bunch of other people to get in the race because they know that the mayor is then vulnerable and beatable. But what's at stake? Well, a lot's at stake. He could lose everything.
Hank, is it that serious?
This is not about one investigation, one jurisdiction, one person, two people. Reading the news reports
we
today,
are devoted to
it's
making
a lot
sure
of people and a lot of investigations, and it's in two jurisdictions at least. And you've already had a significant number of police officers and people connected to the pistol licensing division scandal, either arrested, resigned, demoted, or retired.
What does all of this mean for the race for mayor?
Well, you can't beat nobody with nothing, and that is the supreme problem, because you need somebody to beat the mayor. Right now, it's going to be hard. Paul Massey is doing his best as a freshman, kind of a fledgling Republican candidacy. You know, John Catsimatidis may get into this. You don't know what's going to happen on the Democrat side. You know, incumbents are the people who would likely want to go after him, an incumbent controller, an incumbent public advocate, but they're not going to take any risks because these jobs, these public jobs, which I don't think was the intention at the time they were created, have become full-time, long-time jobs. We're not talking about people who have other interests. These are their jobs. They're not going to take the risk to lose their jobs to run against this mayor.
Mayor de Blasio is going to talk to federal prosecutors without the protection of immunity. That seems to defy logic.
Well, you don't have to be Clarence Darrow to figure this one out. As someone, frankly, in the interest of disclosure, I've certainly been asked to appear and talk to authorities, and I always bring my lawyer with me, and I don't talk to them unless I have immunity. Why? Because you never know what's going to happen, and I've not done anything wrong that I know about. But when you're the subject of an inquiry and the people around you are subject to inquiry, you go in there and you say, hey, by the way, here I am. You know, they can arrest you when you're sitting there. It's extraordinary that this is going on, and his lawyers, whoever they may be, well, I'm sure they have a good reason for this, but I think it really is mostly political, which is the problem with this whole administration, by the way. The mostly political means that he went there because he says, look, if I bare my chest and the public sees it, then they won't believe whatever happens next. Which is good politics, maybe, but it's probably lousy criminal law defense.
But why would one do that? Talk to federal prosecutors without immunity.
It defies logic. Anybody who's been around, look, I've walked an awful lot of public officials out of their offices after they've been indicted or in trouble, and I've been through an awful lot as the spokesperson and PR person for an awful lot of public officials, and you're going to see this stuff. Nobody goes to see the prosecutors unless you have immunity. Why would you do it if you don't? They must have a reason that those of us who've been around don't understand. Or maybe he's telling everybody everything they want to know about what he thinks they want to know about the people who work for him who are somehow impacted or related to him in some way who may be impacted by these investigations.
Would you permit any of your clients to talk to federal prosecutors without the protection of immunity?
I do not know one criminal lawyer of consequence that I have worked with in the last 35 years who would permit, I was PR guy, counsel's there, counsel would never permit anyone to go to talk to a federal prosecutor without guaranteed immunity, at least Queen for a day. When you go in, you don't talk, or you talk under immunity. Or if you're going to go before the grand jury, then you have immunity. It's not something that you would do, but there must be some other reason that a lot of us who've been around don't comprehend.
Just on Friday, Mayor de Blasio opened the door for creating a new entity that would raise money to help pay his legal defense fees associated with the ongoing investigations into his fundraising. But is that wise, considering it's his fundraising that has him facing scrutiny to begin with?
It's wise because he doesn't have any money. I mean, the question here is, how is he going to pay for this? And maybe by going to the DA and the U.S. Attorney and bearing his chest, he knows that he's going to be indicted. Maybe that's what he's saying. We don't know what he's saying, but that's certainly not out of the realm of possibility. He's got to raise the money to do it. And by the way, the mayor of the city of New York still has in trouble, not in trouble, under investigation, not under investigation, sick, ill, whatever it is. Well, he's still got tremendous power. And that power permits him to do extraordinary things, and it makes it likely that people will give him what he needs.
Is it possible Mayor de Blasio, by appearing before federal prosecutors, can sway them to drop their investigation?
In this environment, believing that he could somehow sway prosecutors away from looking at what they're supposed to is believing quite well that Mars and Saturn will unite tomorrow and a new life form will be born.
It's not going to happen.
Well, it's not the most realistic thing I've ever heard. I mean, I talked to a lot of public officials that used to be, who are presently in federal prison, and asked them if they think this is appropriate behavior.
All right, coming up next, we'll take a look at some local headlines, so please stay with us.